Project Gorgon, perhaps the most underrated MMORPG on the market, is inspired from old-school MMOs like classic EverQuest, Asheron's Call 1, and Star Wars Galaxies. Join me in the curious story of an aimless elf adventuring through the whimsical yet deeply complex world of Project Gorgon. Thank you for watching, and subscribe for more MMO content. After venturing through the spider caves from the Crone's decrepit isle, I confront my arachnophobia head-on and fight Black Widow spiders. They drop gear that's better than what you can find on the Newbie Island, so I'm hopeful for an upgrade. See the shaking icon on the top left? That means the buff is about to expire. I wish I knew that then, because what is about to happen now may not have occurred. Watch what happens. While I died, I leveled up the dying skill, so it wasn't a total loss. This system reminds me of Kenshi, in that a loss can still be a gain, or Warhammer 2 battles while playing as Skaven. Legend of Total War fans will know what I'm talking about. Another fun observation is that the armor I'm wearing is organic, because it's literally spider's thread, and you gain a combat buff from it. I wonder if other types of armor confer tactically significant buffs like this too. But I'm trying to figure out what to do now that I'm done with the initial tutorial area. First impressions of this location are less inspiring than the newbie zone. I don't mean to be pedantic, yet the colors here don't fit quite right. The grass seems too green and the flowers too bright, and the large rock pillars don't tell an accurate topographical story. Since this is the first main area outside of the newbie zone, which I think was very visually stimulating, I heartily recommend graphically upgrading this region to inspire more people to upgrade from the demo to the paid game. Trying to figure out what I'm doing, I stumble upon a fire sheep that at first glance you'd think was magically imbued. Nope. Remember the eye icon from my first impressions video? I tried to use it, yet to no avail. Upon slaying the beast, you learn that these creatures have evolved to live aflame. Apparently, Darwin's theory is accurate in this world too. Notice that upon killing the animal, I was given a quest seen near my mana pool. This was a surprise because there was no conspicuous icon above its head. These remind me of Lord of the Rings Online daily kill tasks. One challenge for grindy games is that each mob can feel like a chore, yet with a system like this, there is even more incentive to keep fighting creatures. Since I'm nearly famished, I decide to eat some grapes. See what happens. By eating food, I level up Gourmand. This is a brilliant system because food produced by cooks is more valuable since it not only produces a helpful buff, yet also levels up its own skill line. Each time I play Project Gorgon, I continue to be impressed. As I wander aimlessly through the woods, I notice some deer. I appreciate that they act as expected, and that they immediately run away instead of being aggressive. I have mercy on their souls, yet when a sickly tiger attacks, I have to defend my honor. For some reason, its dying moan was "Yah!" and was carrying a genealogy chart? That's hilarious. As I seek for some direction, I stumble upon a Ranelon camp. You can see that they are evasive and quick. These creatures become important later, so remember them now. Also, notice the cartography experience? That's a fun reward for discovering more of the geography. However, I wander just too close to a gardener and you can see how fast it is. It also evades an attack, so the game's warnings are accurate. This reminds me of PvE in early EverQuest. Also, notice that I have to be careful navigating through these woods. I simply can't stumble into the camp like you would in Black Desert Online. I also notice a glowing orb in the distance and obviously venture towards it. It is glowing after all in a hostile camp of snail fishmen. I see a Ranelon who's named yet doesn't appear to be hostile. I cautiously approach the pillar and learn a new array of crafting recipes. I'm sure I'm doing this all wrong, yet apparently you can meditate at pillars which presumably augment only hand-to-hand fighting. Since I didn't know that these buffs were limited to a single skill line, I meditated several times and collected many buffs that I used to great effect since I use a sword and bow. Now is a good time to talk more about the expansive skill system in Project Gorgon. Veterans of the MMORPG, please correct what I'm about to say in the comments. To you listening, I'm discovering this as you're viewing, so don't take my word as gospel. Read the comments. There are no character levels in Project Gorgon. Instead, you have skills. Think of old school RuneScape as an analog. However, you can activate only 2 combat skills at a time, and only the bonuses from those 2 are applied. There are passive and life skills too, whose bonuses I presume are always active since you cannot slot them. For example, you can level up dying and endurance. The former gains experience when you die in a unique way, whereas the latter levels up as you're hit. I presume there's a meta for quickest advancement, yet Project Gorgon is less about the final destination and more about the journey. I take my chances and strike up a conversation with Gearshock. Unlike the elf on the tutorial island, he gets my name right. He tells me that he used to be a shamanic infuser. I have no idea what that means, so I keep listening. For his race, most learning doesn't come through experience, yet it's hereditary, much like an expansive form of instincts. Infusion is a gear improvement mechanic by which traits of creatures can be added to equipment. This is obviously awesome, so I want to learn. Yet since he isn't my mother, he's reluctant to consider my offer. Do you also remember the favor system from my first impressions video? To be taught shamanic infusion, I'll have to earn his reputation. He also shares the history of his people. They are essentially Switzerland and India in that they wish to be entirely neutral, yet they have an exploding population with nowhere to go. So they spill into neighboring areas. Regardless, his favorite quest, in typical Project Gorgon fashion, is a tutorial. I need to retrieve for him rat teeth that are used in shamanic infusion. Now I have more direction should I choose to follow the hints. Deciding what to do, I walk away and head down the hill and fight another Ranelon. What do you notice? The skill descriptions were covering my character's vitals, which made it very difficult to tell how dangerous creatures were. Additionally, the white corners around the creatures feel redundant and are visually cluttering. I attack another fish slug to see if I like the updated UI, yet it still isn't feeling quite right. I skimmed the settings, yet couldn't find where to turn off the skill helper text and the white corners. Veterans of Project Gorgon, how do I do this? Looking for rat teeth, I continue my run around the water's edge and try my luck against a Scray, but I wasn't careful, and like early EverQuest, I pulled 2 ads. What do you think happens next? After dying again, I decide to run in the other direction. Maybe I'll find rats there. After killing a rodent, while I didn't find any teeth, I do find an augment. Apparently, you can attach these to gear for added benefits, another layer of character customization in addition to infusion. However, I have a change of heart, and instead of killing this rat, I charm it. But I forget how to find its nameplate. I find an inn and run to climb the stairs. These buildings appear to be assets simply placed into the ground. I wish more effort was put into their implementation because it doesn't feel like they belong here. I read the notice and realize that as an elf, I'm going to be discriminated against. I walk inside, but there's no Durston, just Paul. I learn that there is a goblin camp nearby that is pillaging the area and taking the conquered as slaves. I inquire as to how I can help, and I appreciate that the game lets me know that I'm slightly too weak to participate in a lore-friendly way. Assuming that he's telling the truth, he also gives helpful aids as to how to approach fighting in the goblin camp. I love this, since PvE is more than face rolling on your keyboard. I'll actually have to pay attention. I walk over to the bookshelf and read the Chalice Saga. It appears to be a mythological literary interpretation of the powers of balance in Project Gorgon. I won't spoil it for you, yet it's an interesting read. You also notice that I learn a word of power. I'm not entirely sure what this does, yet I presume it's some sort of magical mechanic. I finally meet Durston, who requests that I help him put together his wife's lost novel. Since I'm an elf, he tries to be on his best behavior, yet cannot help himself from using slurs in my presence. On the surface, it's a fiscal request, yet we're also cued into the fact that there's a strong sentimental gravity to these lost pages. We'll soon uncover more heartbreaking details. And of course, there's a bard. He costs 100 consoles, in-game currency, for a 5-minute performance. I oblige, and here's what he performed. It's a fun song, yet it's a noticeable departure in quality from the soundtrack. It seems like it's a MIDI recording instead of the capture of an acoustic performance. Regardless, see the music buff in the top left corner? Like in Star Wars Galaxies, you gain buffs being around performing musicians. I presume there are Project Gorgon's versions of katinas, and I can't wait to find one. You can also learn how to be a bard. I wonder if they're as effective as they were in EverQuest 1. I see a man on the floor who allegedly was once a capable shield fighter. I presume helping him grants the shield skill line. I also learned that he can augment gear, yet I need to help him first. I'm not sure if this is a new mechanic or if he can simply apply the augments I've already found. Regardless, since I'm already busy aiding Gearshock, I'll remember his need. I also noticed that he requests tongues, which ran along drop. I run outside and see a stable column. I presume this is for horses whenever they're implemented. Nothing here is useful for now. I continue adventuring south and stumble upon one of the pages of the lost novel. We now know more about what Durston was trying to communicate, yet failed. During his wife's sickness, he slept with her best friend and his wife discovered the affair. Not a great passing gift. In my search for more pages and rat teeth, I locate a smelly outhouse that is searchable. What's inside? Stay tuned for the next episode to find out. Thanks for watching.